It's the thing.
Okay, everyone, thanks for joining me today for the workshop on teamwork and collaboration. We're just going to wait to see if any more students turn up and then we will begin. So get a coffee, get some paper and a pen, and yeah, we'll be back in a second. Okay, so I think now is a good time to start. Okay, so to begin with, everyone, so my name is Kieran. I am one of the English language support tutors on the Manchester campus of Elizabeth School of London. So it's good to finally meet you. You may have already seen me around campus or coming into one of your workshops or classes or things like that. If you've never seen me, well, now is your first time seeing me, so it's good to see you as well. So, as I mentioned before, the topic of our workshop today is going to be teamwork and collaboration. So, this is something that is going to be very useful for you in your next 3 or 4 years here at Elizabeth School of London, and then continuing into the future if you decide to carry on your academic journey, or even when you go on to the business world or the world of work afterwards. Okay, so if we get it good now, then it's going to set us up for the future. Okay, so what we're going to have a look at today is many different things. Okay, so we're going to start off with an introduction of teamwork and collaboration. Then we're going to have a look at why teamwork is useful for us. Um, but for every kind of advantage, there is always a disadvantage. So we're going to have a look at some of the problems that we can have when we are taking part in teamwork. Okay. After that, we're going to have a look at some strategies that you could use to maybe improve your team working skills. One of those in particular is going to be the idea of active listening. All right. We'll have a look at a few other skills and then we'll finish up. Okay. So it's going to be a nice, tight, useful, practical workshop today, hopefully. Okay. So um, let's have a look at our introduction then. So if you have a look at the screen here, you will see there are some questions about working as a team, and I'd like you to consider them for yourself. Okay, so I will give you just a few minutes. Think about these questions and how they relate to teamwork. Okay, so take a couple of minutes and then I will come back and see the responses. Okie dokie. So hopefully you've taken some time to consider these questions that we have on the screen. So let's have a look at the first one together. So do you work well as part of a team? Do you feel that you contribute well? Do you feel like you are bringing your best qualities to the team? Okay, so that's always a good idea to think about. So the second question, do you actually enjoy being part of a team? Do you like those dynamics of working with other people, splitting up tasks, contributing all in your different ways? So the third question discusses the different roles within a team. Do you like to be the leader? Do you like to be the ideas person? Do you like to be the person who takes notes? Things like that. Okay, so consider those different positions that you could have within a team. All right. So the next question asks about the dividing up the time, dividing up the contributions. So, do you like your teamwork to be structured with very, very clear, defined roles for each person and what they should do, deadlines that people need to meet? Do you find that enjoyable, or do you prefer to be more spontaneous? And lastly, more of a personal question, really. Are you okay with people criticizing your ideas or disagreeing with you? Yeah? When you're working as part of a team, there are always going to be lots of ideas going on, but um, all ideas are kind of accepted at the start, but are you okay with somebody critiquing your ideas in favor of another idea or things like that? Okay, it's a natural part of the process, but do you feel like you can actually deal with that happening? All right. So just some interesting ideas there to get your brain moving. Okay. So let's move on to one of the most important questions then. Why is teamwork important in the world of academia? Okay. So now that you're on a bachelor's degree course, at some point you are going to have to work with the other students on your course. Maybe you'll need to do a presentation or something like that. Later on, if you're doing research, you may need to work with other people to ensure that it's carried out. In some ways, it's actually beneficial to work with other people. Yeah, they can help you with your weaknesses. You can help them by bringing your strengths along. So it is definitely something that is important and beneficial. Okay, so take maybe a minute or so, and if you can, make a little list of what are the benefits of working as part of a team. Okay, so make a little list, and we'll be back here in a few seconds. Now that you've had time to consider that question, let's have a look at some of the answers that we could have. Okay, maybe you had something different, and that's cool. But these are just the ones that I thought might be most important for you guys to think about. Okay, so the first one then is working part of a team, you can have enhanced learning and understanding. So for example, if you're in lectures and things like that, you're not always able to be fully attentive for the whole lecture the whole time, things like that. So if somebody else has made some notes, you can kind of compare your notes together. You can discuss what notes you have made, and if maybe you don't understand something or your partner doesn't understand something, just by discussing it, you can kind of help each other to get the better understanding and better knowledge of the course content. Okay. Another important part, possibly even the most important part, is innovation and creativity. So you will have your ideas just on your own, but by discussing ideas with other people, they will see things from a different perspective. Maybe they're like a more imaginative person, more creative person, and they can imagine things that you haven't necessarily thought about. Okay, so by working as part of a team, you can have their ideas and your ideas together, and everybody's a winner. Okay, so for the third point, interpersonal skills. So by working as part of a team, you're learning those soft skills that will be useful for you in the future. Okay, dealing with other people, figuring out how to talk to other people, maybe how to present. Um, it's possible in the future, if you have your own business and your own product, you may need to give a pitch on your product. And by working as part of a team here at the Elizabeth School of London, you may be able to pick up those presentation skills. Now, the next one, super important point, the division of labor and efficiency. So, if you are working as part of a team, you have the big task that you need to carry out. So, if your team has 4 people, you can divide that big task up into 4 smaller manageable parts. If each of you completes those small manageable parts, then you'll possibly do it 4 times more quickly than before. Okay? So by dividing it up, you can be more efficient with your time and with your energy. Okay, so on to the next point, accountability and responsibility. So by dividing tasks up among a team, each person is then responsible for making sure that that task is carried out. So you will be able to show that you yourself have been given a deadline. You're responsible for carrying it out. You have completed it by that deadline. So then you are both a accountable person and a responsible person who can be trusted in the future with tasks and activities like that. All right. One other one, maybe you had this written down, maybe not, was confidence building. Yeah. Generally, if people work as part of a team, they are happier, more content, more satisfied with what they've done. Um, sometimes you see those training courses for companies and they do team building exercises together, and everyone is happy and satisfied by completing a task together. Therefore, you become more confident in your skills. Okay, so that is another reason why teamwork is a good thing. The next point, also very important to everybody, is networking. Yeah. If you've worked as part of a team, if you worked well with other people, it may be that in future you might want to work with them too. So if you stay in touch with them in future, they may have a job opportunity or a learning opportunity for you. You get in touch with them. You've already built up that good relationship with them. Then you can continue it in the future. Okay, and that links us nicely with the final point that's here on the screen, preparation for real world scenarios. So you're going to be here on your degree course. Okay, when you hopefully graduate, you may then go on to even further along the academic journey. You may go into the world of work. If you can prove that you're already good working as part of a team, then you become much more attractive to employers and things like that. Yeah, because um, in most situations, if you are working, you will be working with other people. You'll need to know how to communicate with other people and how to be effective as working as part of a team. So if you can exercise your team working skills here on your degree course, then that is going to set you up for the future. Okay. So those were the advantages. Let's imagine the pros of working as part of a team. Now, let's be honest, there are going to be some challenges. Yeah, it's not always easy working as part of a team. So again, take a couple of minutes here and think about what the challenges could be, the difficulties of working as part of a team. Maybe you've worked as part of a team before and it didn't work so well. Think about why it didn't work so well. Okay, so as usual, take a couple of minutes and then we'll come back and summarize our ideas. Right, so I think everybody had great ideas there. So let's go through some of them in a bit more detail. Okay, so first of all, there could be communication barriers. All right, so here at Elizabeth School of London, you may have noticed that there are a few different languages that people have on campus. So it may be that when you are working as part of a team, things get misunderstood a little bit. Maybe you are not always sure that you understand what other people are trying to say. So that could be one of the problems that you have. All right. And kind of connected to that, maybe the idea of cultural differences, the one here that we've got at the end. Yeah. People come from different cultures. Doesn't mean that it's a good thing or a bad thing. It just means that it is different. Okay. So they may have a different way of saying things or doing things. That's okay. But if it's different from you, it may cause some little problems. But hopefully those are things that we can overcome. Um, Another option we have here is unequal participation. So if you do have that big task, which you've split up amongst the group, it may be that the other people are not doing their part of the work as well or as quickly as you would hope. So that can be one issue that causes a lot of problems. Okay, and that leads us on to the idea of conflicts. Okay, so whenever a group of people are working together, there are different ideas. It is a good thing that there are different ideas, but it can lead us to bad things where maybe you think your idea is good, another person says it's a bad idea, and it's kind of difficult to solve that problem of how do you move on if someone thinks your idea is bad. Okay. I mean, there can also be other kind of personal conflicts that you have as part of a group. And these are things that we really need to sort out. Okay. So those are kind of the challenges. So let's have a look at the strategies that we have to make sure that we're really being as effective as we can be when it comes to working as part of a team. So, to avoid any of those conflicts about maybe not doing things quickly enough or who needs to do what, is to have clear roles and responsibilities. Okay, very, very early on, as soon as possible for your activity, make sure you together decide who is going to do what. Okay, if everybody has a task to do and they know what they need to do and they know when it needs to be done, then that breeds this idea of responsibility. You have a task to do, you need to do it, you're responsible for it, you're responsible for the quality of it. This is a good thing. Get it done at the start, everybody is clear, and there can be no misunderstandings. Okay, I mean, like we've just discussed, you would also need to make sure that not only does each person need to know which task they are doing, you also need to make sure that the tasks are completed before a deadline. Okay, so if you have clear deadlines, not just a final deadline, but milestones in the progress of the task. Okay, if you have these, this makes sure that you really are moving along as quickly as you need to be. Okay, and like it says here on the screen, it helps to keep the team focused. All right, now, for example, if you are doing a presentation here on the course, if you need to give a PowerPoint presentation or something like that, it can sometimes be difficult if you're all doing PowerPoints on your own computer. Now, when it comes to giving the presentation, you can't all bring a USB, close the PowerPoint when one person is finished, open up the new PowerPoint. It kind of takes a lot of time. It looks a little bit ugly and disorganized and things like that. So you can always use collaboration tools where everybody can be connected and everybody can edit or change or add the kinds of stuff. So if you haven't already, familiarize yourself with some of the Google tools that you have, Google Docs. So Google Docs is similar to Microsoft Word, has most of the functionalities of Microsoft Word, but it is online. So if you create your Word document on Google Docs and then share it with the other people in your group, they can edit the information. They can add their information to the document. This is like the one single central document that everybody could add their information to. And it works the same with Google Slides. So Google Slides is the equivalent of Microsoft PowerPoint, but it is online. Okay, so you can be in your house, your friends can be at their house or on campus or at work or something like that, and you can still put together your PowerPoints by adding your slides to this one central document that is shared with everybody else. So they can see what changes you have made, they can add things as well, and then it ensures that everybody in the team has access at all times and anywhere to the task that you need to do. Okay, so I'd recommend those certainly. Okay, now active learning. I mean, everybody knows how to, oh, sorry, active listening, sorry. Everybody knows how to listen, you know, well, hopefully. I mean, the vast majority of people do. So we all know how to listen, but most people do it passively. You listen to someone else speak, you wait for the chance for you to speak, and then what happens is you both have monologues. They speak and then you speak and things like that. And to be honest, that isn't really listening because you're hearing what they are saying, but you're not trying to understand what they say. Okay. And if you're working as part of a team, everybody needs to have that understanding. So we're going to have a look at skills now, which will help you to listen in a better way that has better results for the team. Okay. So an important part of active listening is making sure that you give attention to other people and they know that you are being attentive. Okay, so it says here avoid distractions. So if someone else is speaking or sharing their ideas, you know, put your phone away. Yeah, okay. You know, you may be able to multitask, but it will really help that other person if you put your phone away and give all of your focus and attention to that person. Okay, another thing that can be helpful for the person to show that you're listening and to show that you understand them is to use non-verbal cues. So this can be body language, like nodding along, moving your hands to show that you understand what they're saying. Okay. All right. So if you can, if you don't have any problems with it, yeah, give them eye contact. That would help them to know that you really are attentive to what they're saying. Okay, so the next thing is understanding. Okay, it's completely fine if you don't understand what the person is saying, but make sure you give them the opportunity to make the ideas clearer to you. So it's perfectly okay for you to ask questions of them just to make sure that you have a clear understanding of what they say. Okay, this is perfectly okay and perfectly normal. Okay. And another way you can try to show your understanding or try to make sure you understand them as much as possible is to kind of repeat what they said to you back to them in your own words to show if you understand. It may be that you repeat it back to them and they say like, no, you've slightly misunderstood there. It may be you repeat it back to them and they say, yeah, that is exactly what I meant. Okay. So that is a good skill for you to have. Okay. Another way to show that you are actively listening is to respond to what people say and to their ideas. Okay. So this can often just be phrases like, I see. Yeah. I see. I understand. Or something like, yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. And people feel better when they have given their ideas and have had a positive response. Okay. All right. And another part of the responding part is making sure that you keep an open mind and don't jump to conclusions. Okay. So maybe someone has said an idea that sounds strange to you, but it isn't immediately helpful for you to say, oh my God, that is a strange idea. No, it is nice to just give it a little bit of thought and then go like, that's interesting. I've never thought about that before. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Also, if you are kind of confused by something, give it a couple of seconds to think over the idea. It may be with a little bit of time, you do understand what they were trying to say, and it avoids any of those kinds of problems. Cool, let's move on. Okay, so a few more ideas here that could help you to show that you are actively listening. So the first one is retention. So in your group, you will be coming up with lots of different ideas. You may be discussing things a lot, and it would help, I guess, for the group or for you specifically to make notes of the ideas that you have come up with. Yeah, it can be incredibly annoying when you have a brainstorming session and there is that great idea, but the next time you meet, you're like, oh, we had that wonderful idea last lesson. What was it? What was it? I've forgotten. Well, if you make notes, then it is much less likely that you will lose those ideas. Okay. So make sure at least one person in the group, it's helpful if it is all the people, but at least one person is making notes about any kind of meeting that you have, any kind of discussion. Another thing, yeah, another important thing is sometimes it's difficult to do, but to understand the emotions of the other people in the group. Okay. Um, Again, you might not like the ideas that other people have, but try to understand the situation. What situation are they coming from? What are their feelings and their perspectives? Okay. There may be a personal reason why they have ideas that are different from you, and that's okay. So try to understand them as much as possible. Okay. And then another thing here that is often kind of forgotten about is asking open-ended questions. So when someone else has spoken and you're trying to check their ideas, instead of asking a question that would they respond with a yes or no, try to ask them a question where they have to give longer answers. So it could be why, when, where, who, what. Okay. So, excuse me. So if you ask them a question where they need to answer with a long answer, that gives them the chance to really elaborate and go into more detail on their thoughts. Okay. So it is okay to have these discussions and to have all of these ideas flying around, but at some point you need to make sure that the task is complete and it is complete on time. So we got the question on the screen. How can you make sure you made the deadline successfully? So, as normal, take a couple of minutes to think about this, note down some answers, and then when we come back, we'll have a look at some good ideas. All right, so I'm sure you came up with some good ideas there. So let's have a look. Some possible solutions for this. Okay, so of course, at the start, when you have your task to do, brainstorm some ideas. Yeah. Okay, have a session where you're trying to get as many ideas as possible. Remember, all ideas are good at the start because they may be creative and imaginative and lead you in an interesting direction. Okay. All right. After that, then make sure that you are researching the literature. Okay, so it is possibly one of the hardest tasks here, but read the books, read the journals, go online, things like that. Make sure you really understand the context in which you are writing or presenting. Okay, so then it comes to another difficult task of breaking down that huge task into manageable parts. Okay. It may be that not everybody has the same part to do. Maybe people have different strengths and weaknesses. So if someone is better at one type of task, maybe they can do that task. If you're better at a different one, you do that task. Okay. All right. And make sure that everybody's happy with what they've been given. All right. The next one then is to set a deadline. Okay. So before you present or before you submit, you need to make sure that it is up to scratch. It is the best quality that you can produce. Okay. Always make sure that you have time to change it afterwards. Yeah. Okay. So set your deadlines a few days or a few weeks before it really needs to be submitted or completed to make sure that if there are any problems, you can change it and there's still a little bit of time. Okay. So if everybody's working on something different and then you put it all together, there will be some editing process involved. You may need to proofread it, check for spellings and grammar. Okay. If you do need any help with spelling and grammar and things like that, you can also come to your English language support tutor. Okay. So that brings us to the end of this workshop for today. So I hope it will be useful for you and your teams in the future. If you want to give us some feedback on the workshop, you can scan the QR code. It will take you to a Google form, I believe, and you can just leave a little bit of feedback there on how it went today. Okay. And also, if you see the on the screen, that is me and that is my colleague, Christine. So if you feel like you need any other support in future with relation to English for academic purposes, then then get in touch with us. So as I said, it can be me or Christine, my colleague, and we are contactable on the email address you can see on the screen. So English support _ Manchester WH at esl.ac.uk. Very easy to remember. I'm sure you could say that. And if you do need any help, for example, with presentations or assignment skills or other kind of more general academic skills like note taking or things like that, then we are very happy to help you with that. So we are able to do it on, in person on campus. So usually we're in the library, but You can also book online sessions as well. So we can have a little chat over Microsoft Teams like we are doing today. All right. So thanks everybody for coming. I hope it was useful, and I'm sure I will see you very soon in the future as well.